Some people want to doubt God. And every now and then you just need to hear what God has done. And so by way of offering tonight, it's not about your offering. It's not about your financial offering. But I want you to hear what the Lord has done in one man's life. And I want you to hear in his story the possibilities of your own life and what God can do in a yielded vessel, that even some might think it's too late for. This is our friend and our brother Richard Walls, is going to come and share what the Lord has done.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for allowing me to stand before you today in my right mind with blood flowing through my veins and the use of my limbs. About 2 weeks ago, Pastor Weil asked me to come before you and give you my testimony. So now I stand before you to give you my testimony on how great God was to me in spite of. I started dating Enon back in 2006. Prior to dating Enon, I had been a Muslim for 35 years. I had been addicted to cocaine and alcohol for 35 years. I did 13 years in the penitentiary for bank robbery. So when I came to Enon by way of a friend. Roland, on my job, used to always tell me about Enon and this pastor who had a gift. So I said, okay. So I pulled on this parking lot one day and I sat in my car and I reached down on the floor. I took a drink of my Bombay Sapphire gin. I reached in my pocket, I took a hit of cocaine, and I entered the doors of Enon. As I came through these doors, I sat in the back all by myself. But as I sat in the back, these two ladies with very nice hairdos started coming towards me. I got afraid. I said, Lord, they're going to put me out because they must know I'm high. So they sat next to me and they said, welcome, brother. God bless you. Everything's going to be all right. So I said to myself, how does she know anything's wrong? So I sat there and sure enough, here comes this brother. He comes out and the service starts and this brother's spitting the truth. He's spitting it. I thought I was back in the first resurrection. So I said, Lord, okay. So the sister said, how do you like it? I said, I like it. So I left and I started coming back on my own. I just kept coming back because I wanted to hear this word from this man. I wanted to hear the word from this Christian Farrakhan that caught my attention. So I kept coming back and I kept coming back. But every time I came back, these two women found me wherever I was sitting and they sat next to me. Every time I came back. So I came back and I came in here late one day. I was so intoxicated I couldn't stand up on my own. And the pastor was saying, are you tired? I know you're tired. Come up and give your life to God. So I tried to stand up to give my life to God, but I couldn't. These same two ladies that followed me all throughout this church held me, walked me down this aisle, and helped me give my life to the Lord. Now, once I gave my life to the Lord, this lady with this nice hairdo, I want you to understand, I understand it now because God sent her to me. I want you to understand, once I came and accepted, you know how you go in the back and you come back out, she was waiting right here. She said, now this is what you're going to do. You got 8 classes to take. I'll be here Saturday. I'm going to take you to the first class. Then after that, you're on your own and you're going to do the rest. But now I'm like, wow, who is this lady? Who is this lady? So sure enough, Saturday I came. I went to the class. She took me to the first class. She said, now you're on your own. So I said, fine. So I went through the classes, and I had one more class left. I remember it snowed that day, and I came up here, and the parking lot was empty. And I said, Lord, something had got inside me. I said, Lord, I got to do this class. I got to get my baptism, because I promised this lady with the nice hairdo. So I came in here, and I asked the guard at the desk, I said, sir, excuse me, is anybody here? He said, I don't think anybody's here. So he said, let me check. So sure enough, this is when I met my beloved brother, my brother who I love to death today. He said, yeah, it's a Pastor Kevin Murphy here. I said, okay. I ran up and said, Pastor Murphy, my name is Richard Walls. Can you please give me my last class? I got to have this class. So he said, man, you really went to class. So sure enough, bless Reverend Murphy gave me my last class, and I took this last class. So as time went on, I didn't make that baptism then, but I told her, and I couldn't make baptism till May. So she said, all right, this is what you're going to do. So she laid the law again. You're going to start going to deliverance ministry, and I want you to start going Wednesday to Bible study meetings, and that's what you're going to do. I said, okay. So as time went on, I started going to Bible study ministries, and I started going to deliverance ministries. But every time I came in here, she would check on me. So I got baptized. My wife didn't believe I got baptized till the actual day I got baptized. So my family was all around. We were all around. 4 or 5 months after I got baptized, we were all sitting around the house. My daughter had just had a baby. Everything was good. I felt good in my belonging. So we sat there. My son was sitting on the steps. I had just got him a job. I had just got him in the union, and everything was working good. This Jesus thing was great. So I sat there, and we looked at my son. I said, son, I want you to come to church. How you feeling? He said, Dad, I got a little headache. So he looked at me, and he looked at my mother. My son slid down the steps and dropped dead right in front of me at 19 years old. I said, Lord, what have you done to me? So I sat there, and I had to regain my strength and remember the things that I heard from different people in this church. So by the time I left the hospital and got back home, this church that I just joined, this man from this church I just joined was standing at the door waiting on me. My deacon, Deacon Dennis Lee. So he stood there, and he comforted me, and he was telling me, it's going to be all right. We're only here for a reason in the season. God uses us in many different ways. So he's holding on to me, and I'm listening. So days went by, and the day before the funeral, I shied away from everybody. I was up in my room. I had the TV on, and I heard voices downstairs. But as I'm sitting in the room, the volume on everything went down. Before I knew it, I had stuck my hand in my drawer. I had a 9mm with the safety off in my mouth, and I was about to pull the trigger. Just as I'm about to pull the trigger, the volume came back up. And I heard a faint voice saying, Daddy, Daddy. And I said, what? She said, who? I said, what do you want? She said, it's the telephone. I said, who is it? She said, it's Reverend Kevin Murphy. So I put the gun down beside me. I put it down, and I started talking to Reverend Murphy. I said, Reverend Murphy, I just don't understand. I gave my life to the Lord. Everything was going so good. How could this happen to me? Reverend Murphy, the way he is, my brother who I love to death, he sat there and he talked to me and he prayed with me and he told me, you know, that God puts us here for a purpose, a reason, and a season, and to God be the glory. My son is all right now. So as time went on, these same people, the same team that God started forming around me, ministered me in my walk as we got over this death. So as I moved on through this death, 7 to 8 months later, I'm on my way to work. My daughter had just went to a prom, and I walk down the steps and I fall to the ground. My neighbors and the young boy said, uh-oh, he drunk again. But I couldn't move. So I went in the house, and my wife came and got me, and my wife, I said, take me to the hospital, something's wrong. So by the time we got to the hospital, I'm sitting there, and they looked at me, so they admitted me. So I was in there for 1 week, and my leg was still paralyzed. My second week was up to my knee. My third week, both legs was paralyzed, and I'm listening to these people say they don't know what's happening. So by the fourth week, I'm totally paralyzed from the neck down. So I'm standing there, I'm saying like, Lord, what's going on with this? But once again, through God's grace and mercy, here comes my team. Here comes Reverend Murphy. Here comes Deacon Crawford. Here comes all these people to support me. Now I'm laying here, but I'm paralyzed. So now as the weeks went on, my eye drops, my face gets disfigured. Now they're telling me they don't know what's the matter with me. We have never seen nothing attack like this before. They treated me for Bell palsy. They treated me for a stroke. They treated me for Guillain-Barré, but now I was totally paralyzed. I could not do anything on my own. Now I have a doctor who said he's had 30 years worth of experience as a head of neurology, talking about he has never seen nothing like this before. But now my flesh came out, but Reverend Murphy was sitting next to me, and I was blanking him, even though I couldn't move. I want to know, what do you mean you can't do nothing? So Reverend Murphy then told me, he said, that's when you have to trust in the Lord. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge him. So I said, okay. So when Reverend Murphy left, here comes the second part of my team. Here comes Big Fred, Deacon Crawford. So I said, Fred, you believe what this guy said? He said, what did he say, Rich? I said, they don't know what he could do. Fred did his hands like his. He said, that's good. They just submitted. Now it's all about the Lord. Only God can help you now, Rich. Have you prayed yet, Rich? So I said, Fred, what do you mean, have I prayed yet? He said, did you pray yet, Rich? I said, Fred, I've been praying with you every week. You've been here every day. You beat me in the head with Job. Fred taught me Job backwards and forwards the whole time I laid in that hospital. So I said, yeah, Fred. So Fred is one of them brothers to get up in your face. He said, this is what you're going to do. When they put you in that MRI tonight, I want you to go in there and get buck naked. I want you to turn your plate over and give your life entirely to Christ. Confess everything you did and pray with your heart. Sure enough, I go into this tomb, and I call it the tomb, I'm sorry. I go into the MRI, and they do the scan, and I come back out. But when I came out, I had a piece that I could not understand. So when I came out, they came in the room, they stood right before us again. Now here goes 90 words of medical experience. The head neurologist at the University of Pennsylvania says, we have one more thing we want to try. We have this plasma, we're going to give you this plasma for 5 days. It may work or it may not work. He said, but we don't want you to get your hopes up high, because if it does work, you may not walk again till 2011, possibly 2012, because your body has to agree to it. But I'm all right. Something inside me said, you all right? I said, I'm all right, okay. So sure enough, I run through the plasma. At the end of the plasma, the doctors come in and they give this same speech. We have some good news for you. Your body didn't reject the plasma. I said, okay, I'm feeling good. So I said, all right. So he said, but now we don't want you to get your hopes up high again. They gave me the whole spiel. You may not walk again. You may not walk to 2012, whatever. So I said, okay, fine. So at that time, they took the covers off. They went and got everybody in the hospital, all these people that have been working on me. And he said, I just want you to take your foot and try to touch my hand. Now, mind you, I have not moved anything in 60 days. Mind you, I need to come to this point now. God blessed me to have this team around me, which I call my corner men, to support me through all of this, to taught me to trust in the Lord. Don't worry about it. God blessed me with a wife who gave up a job to lay next to me for 60 to 90 days, wiping me, closing my eyes, and standing beside me, and never complaining. So just at that moment, the guy says to me, touch my hand. And my flesh said, all I got out was, I can't, and a voice said, raise your leg. And I stopped, and I looked to my right, and I looked to my left, and they're looking at me, because I wonder if anybody else heard this. So I'm sitting there, and it says again, raise your leg. So when the guy pulled the covers back, I threw my leg up in the air. He said, oh. He said, that's a muscle reaction. He said, that's from you being paralyzed. I said, He said, raise your leg again. I raised my leg again. I said, thank you, Jesus. It was nothing but the power of God. In spite of all I did, in spite of all I was, God put his hands on me. God picked me up. He turned me around, and God knows he placed my feet back on solid ground. So every day I wake up, I have a verse that I say. It's Hebrews 13:6. So I say with confidence, with the Lord as my helper, I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? Thank you, Enon.
Oh, come on, let's just worship God. It's all right to worship him. It's all right to worship him.